Hello, this is meteorologist Brad Winter from Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. And took a bit of a break there in between Christmas and New Year's. So I hope everybody had a good Christmas and a happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2023. As you see, the fireworks still exploding in the background, but unfortunately, the weather was not going to wait for me. It's going to do what it wants to do, and we have this storm through our region. So let's just go on and take a look as to what it has in store for the remainder of it. And so what I've got here is I've got the predicted precipitation on the left and the predicted snowfall accumulation on the right. And the accumulation is from 6 p.m., starting from 6 p.m. Monday evening. So some of you in South Dakota have already seen plenty of snowfall throughout the day on Monday. So this is going to be on top of what you've already received on Monday. So this point, we're looking at 6 a.m. on Tuesday. And you can see that already we've got, some snowfall here. Over an inch or two down in the southwestern parts of Minnesota. Now, actually, I think that's probably going to be a little light as we get to 6 a.m. because I've already seen a report near Mankato, kind of in that St. Peter area, where there's a social media a report here this evening as I record this Monday evening of already 2 inches. So it's possible some of these areas down in the southwest are going to be, you can probably add a couple of inches onto what this particular model is forecasting here. But nevertheless, we're expecting some heavier snowfalls remaining down in the southwestern parts of Minnesota and southeast South Dakota through the overnight hours and into the early part of the morning. Once we get to a 9 a.m. time frame, you can see again more of that snow begins to accumulate. We got some of that freezing rain just along the cities and southwards. So you guys down in the southern parts of the metro area, you could actually be starting off your day with some freezing rain down there. It's just a matter of where exactly that line's going to set up, but obviously that would cause for treacherous conditions down there as we get around that 9 a.m. time frame. By closer to noon, it looks like either it's going to be a little more snow or rain. That transition starts to take place a little more. We kind of leave a little bit more of that freezing rain out of there. However, that snowfall will become heavy at times as it rolls through the Twin Cities and northward through St. Cloud. And as this area continues to push northward, this is kind of a moderate to maybe heavy area of snow by this point in between that 9 a.m. to noon time frame. Now look at this here as we look at the accumulation still on top of what's already out there. We're looking at possibly up to 15 inches in some areas, kind of close to that Chamberlain area. But then as we get to the cities, we're probably looking at anywhere from 7 to 12 inches by this point. And then closer to the Twin Cities, we'll say probably around 2 to 4 inches once we get to that noon time frame. As we poke throughout the remainder of the day here, this is 3 p.m. and we can see that snow continues to move northward now, inching towards Duluth. And then we'll correct this here. And 6 p.m. Tuesday evening, now it's moved into Duluth area and has moved north. We're getting a little bit lighter down in the southern parts of Minnesota. Gets a little lighter in across South Dakota as well, but the accumulations continue across central portions of Minnesota. Then as we get to that 9 p.m. and that midnight time frame, it looks like by that point, once we get kind of that midnight Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, we're just kind of left with this more of that light snow just lingering on the backside of this. Everything's just now obviously turned over to snow. Look at the accumulations possible down in the southwest part of Minnesota, where we're looking at maybe anywhere from 8 to 12 inches in some areas. And then as we go further northward, we're looking at probably that 5 to 10 inch range. Like I said, I think some of these areas are going to be a little light. Actually, we'll back off a little bit and we'll say probably within this area, we're looking at 5 to 10. And then elsewhere, we're probably looking at 4 to 8, basically in through here. And that's going to be close to the Twin Cities. It seems like the models have really shifted the base of the accumulating snow further northward. And it's really going to depend on where that freezing rain and rain line really sets up through the overnight and early parts of Tuesday morning. And then as we go into the early parts of Wednesday morning, we continue to see just some light snow across Minnesota and just rotating around the backside of this. And then really that's kind of just continues across much of the day on Wednesday. and then into Wednesday night. And finally by Thursday morning, the snow moves on out. And as we put the accumulating snow into motion, you can see how this rises. This is by Wednesday evening, the predicted snowfall accumulation as we get into Wednesday evening, and then Wednesday night at midnight, and then by Thursday morning. So we're looking at quite a bit of snow, a prolonged period of snowfall as we go from Tuesday and finally ending by Thursday morning. And the heaviest snowfall is really looking like it's going to be Tuesday morning into maybe that early Tuesday afternoon time frame. And now here's the good news after that. After that, look at this. According to most of the models here, as we go through this, this is going into next week already, and we can see nothing really showing up when it comes to winter storms or even much for snow at that matter. Now that could obviously change. We could get a little clipper system that might swing through and give us an inch or two if it model kind of picks it up a little later. But as for now, there's no big system on its way. And the other good news as we look beyond that, as we get into the weekend and into even next week, look at all that purple stays well north of our area. The real cold air stays north of us. So there's no big winter Arctic outbreak expected for our area. So that's good. So we're looking at a drier period or more mild period. And I think that's a great way, obviously, to start off the new year. So here's your expected high temperatures for Tuesday, whereas we look at the teens across North Dakota, 20s across Minnesota and South Dakota, some 30s, obviously down in the southeast where we're looking at that rain and freezing rain. Wednesday, more of the same, teens and 20s to around the low 30s down in the southeastern parts of Minnesota. And then Thursday, once that cold air kind of makes its way all the way around the backside of that storm, and as that storm pulls out, that temperatures begin to cool off down in the southeastern parts of Minnesota finally. Again, left with teens and 20s for the most part, to maybe some 30s to upper 30s across western portions of South Dakota. And then as we get closer to the weekend here on Friday, just more of the same. High temperatures generally in the teens, the 20s to near the 30s to upper 30s across western South Dakota. And that's really kind of where things stay as we go into the weekend. Just teens, 20s generally speaking, except for western parts of South Dakota. So not real warm, but at least we're not dealing with that Arctic air. And so southeastern parts of South Dakota across portions of Minnesota, you just got to kind of get through this next day or two, and then we're in for a quieter period, kind of at least a mild period where we don't have that cold Arctic air where we're talking about wind chills and all that kind of gross, icky stuff. So I think we'll take that to start off our 2023. Thank you all for tuning into this channel throughout 2022. I couldn't have done it without you at all. It's been amazing. It's been great. I'm glad people have found this page. Let's get it even bigger, right? Let's share this page, because the more we can do this, the more people that find this page, and the more I can do this, and the more often I can do this, the better coverage I can provide. And that would be fantastic, right? So thank you all. Thank you very much for a great 2022 as I'm approaching my 1-year anniversary here at the end of January for starting this project. But hey, let's look forward to 2023 and even bigger and better things to come. So that's thanks to you guys there viewing my channel. All right, everybody, for Regional Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody, have a good day.